The final thing we're going to learn before we start doing turns on the cube is Rubik's Cube notation. And so when we're thinking about this, there's really a couple moves that you need to know and a couple directions that we need to be familiar with. And so we're going to start off with the sides of the cube. This is the upper, this is the downward face, this is the front face, the left face, the right face, and the back face. Notice that I didn't say this is the blue face though, because it's actually different based on how you hold the cube. If I were to hold it here, orange would now be my front face, blue would now be my upper face. It's all relative to how you're holding the cube that determines which face is the right face, left face, up face, down face, etc. The only reason why I typically start with green in front and white on top is because that's how scramble notation looks like. So here we have a bunch of sample letters that you might expect to see during one of your scrambles, but this isn't all of the notation, but it is a good start. We'll start with R. Capital R indicates a singular layer turned, as opposed to a lowercase r, which indicates both layers being turned, but the right layer. Now, how do you know which direction to go? Well, a capital R with no additional symbols attached to it indicates a rightward turn clockwise of this right layer. Clockwise turn of the right layer. Similarly, F capital would move this layer 90 degrees clockwise. Reverting back to the original position, F2 indicates a 180 degree turn of this front layer. U, to move 90 degrees counterclockwise, is indicated by a U prime, a U with an apostrophe, 90 degrees counterclockwise. Notice though that 90 degrees counterclockwise for this face is the exact opposite of 90 degrees counterclockwise for this face. To move both this layer and this layer in this direction at the same time is to move U prime and D, because the yellow face and the white face, or the upper face and the bottom face and the downward face in this case, are opposite to each other. That's a property that we can exploit when we're doing this notational stuff. A couple other moves to note. We have the slice layer. Slice is the movement of this inner layer and this inner layer only. It is indicated with an S, a capital S, and it moves in the same direction as F. S, 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 S. The next move we have is the E layer. This is the equator layer. And it moves in the direction of U. Notice how R or L or R2, L2 kept this center, this green, fixed in the frontward position, whereas E or M prime would move it in a different layer. So that's really why scramble notation doesn't contain M, E, or S, because that moves the position of green and white, and so it's harder to confirm if you got your scramble right. But the scrambler I'm using is CS Timer, and it's a really good site to practice getting faster with scrambling, recognizing notation, kind of like sight reading, so I'd recommend you practice there, or if you're using an app, I'd recommend Twisty Timer. Both of them have in the bottom right corner, or for Twisty Timer the app, in the bottom of the screen, a photo of what the scramble should look like when completed. So after a quick review of all of the stuff that you need to know for scramble notation and algorithm notation, we'll get to one example of this. So first off, we have our front layer, again relative to how we're holding it. Green is front, but this could be front if I'm holding it with this layer in front. Upper, downward, right, left, back, and front. When we're doing turns, singular letters, capital letters indicate single letter turns. With no additional symbols, it indicates a 90 degrees clockwise turn. With a prime or an apostrophe, it indicates a 90 degrees counterclockwise turn. Reverting back to the original, R2 indicates a 180 degree turn. Lowercase letters indicate the same face being turned relative to, so R wide or little r, lowercase r prime, moves similar to r prime, which is capital, but it moves both layers. And then L as a lowercase prime would move these two layers because this face is moving counterclockwise now. I think the last thing to note is that S move is a slice move, capital S, and it moves this layer in the same direction as F. E moves in the same direction as U, but it moves the equator layer, North Pole, South Pole, equator. And we've got the middle layer, but the middle layer actually moves in the same direction as the left layer. So this is actually an M prime because this is an L prime, this is an M prime. That's the only weird one, and unfortunately it's the one we use most often, so care about M and care about notation. Alright, we'll do an example right after this.